All right, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. Thank you guys so much for joining me for the after show. It looks like modern day debate is just about to end, so I figured we would get started. And wow, what a fantastic debate! Um, it was just quite a crazy debate. Anyway, if you want to join in the after show, we have the link to the StreamYard in the description, and it's also in the sidebar. Um, so I hope you guys join me. While we are waiting for people, oh, we have Nicholas, proclaimer of Messiah. Hey, Nicholas, welcome.
Shalom, hello.
Hey, good to see you, Nicholas.
I jumped in a little early. I need to set up my microphone.
Okay, go right ahead. So, while we're waiting for people to come in, I just wanted to let you guys know a little bit about myself. I am a music major, and I am passionate about art and science and education. I am getting my associate's degree in music, and then will hopefully get my bachelor's degree in either earth science or biology. Um, so many topics, so much stuff that I really love talking about. Um, I have some music coming up soon. I actually am an organist as well. Just started to dabble in the organ and just posted a couple of me playing the organ. So we already have a couple people, Nicholas and uh, Ogre, however you pronounce your name.
Yellow.
Hello, good to see you. All right, so what are your thoughts on that train wreck of a debate that just happened?
Nicholas, you want to go first? You're in first.
I'll go first. So, well, I'll start by talking about the Christian side since I am a Christian. And I'm a bit disappointed with it. They sort of beat around the bush with topics like love and things like that. They just took the cross for granted instead of actually talking about it. And that is the evidence of Christianity. And I mean, I guess people want evidence of the cross, but just the narrative itself rings with truth.
And
So
we
it's
now
sort of
have Creator Bunk. Welcome. Thank you for joining us on our live stream.
So,
yeah, I guess you done? I'm sorry.
Well, I'll wrap
Sorry.
up real quick with that, and then yeah, I'll save other stuff I have to say for later. But yeah, so I think Christian debates typically should have presupposition as their footing, because the other side is really skeptical of what we believe, but we still have to stick to our model. So I'm not someone, I definitely don't think people should stubbornly stick to presuppositionalism the way Saitan Bruggencate does or something. But I do think that we should confidently stand on that. And our belief is that the message of the gospel has the power to save. So to not really be presenting that message and trusting it is sort of just to not even take a Christian approach to the debate. So I found that disappointing.
Yeah, and welcome, Leopolis. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Leophilius.
Leophilius, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I will
The second I is always the one that people miss.
Yeah, I do apologize. I am
No
terrible with
problem.
pronunciation. I'm terrible with pronunciation, so please do forgive me for that.
If it's any consolation, you're not. Let me just put this down so I'm not popping. You're not the first, and I doubt you'll be the last.
Yeah, definitely. So anyway, what are your thoughts on the debate? Nicholas was in first. I think Orc was in next. So
You want me to go?
Yeah, your turn.
All right. I only watched half the debate, partly for what Nicholas was saying. The Aron Ra TJump side was formulaic, I'd say. I personally am of the opinion that TJump brings nothing to the debates. He's kind of a wet blanket of a debater. Aron Ra has his formula that he follows, and he followed it this debate. And then the Christian side, they seem more like they were pitching for a house flipping show on HGTV than were making a substantial conversation. So it was an interesting debate, but at the end of the day, I think it was a bit more formulaic than I was hoping for.
Yeah, and I've noticed that after the opening statement, TJump pretty much just sat there, and Aron Rob pretty much dominated the entire conversation.
Exactly.
And one thing I will say is that I felt like there was just too much interruption. I think that the Christian side was just constantly talking over top of each other, and it just frustrating to listen to a debate when one side is always on top of each other. Doesn't make for a very good debate.
Yeah.
Credo Bonk, you were in next. Credo, I can't hear you. All right.
Yeah, Creo Debunk. I don't know why you're silent, but you're silent to us. So I guess let's hope for the best with that. If you think everything's going right, you may just wanna leave.
I heard what you just said, Creo Debunk, but it was very, very, very quiet.
Yeah, I didn't hear it at all.
Hey, Leo Phileas with the headphones.
What's up?
I just want to ask you some questions.
There you go.
Yeah, sure, shoot.
You're quiet again.
Yeah, I cannot hear what you're saying. Perhaps it's best to ask the questions in the private chats. That'll probably be easier.
Someone just asked me a question.
Okay.
In the side chat here.
Nicholas,
So,
how would you
I'll just answer it real quick because there are no good souls. In fact, the word soul means breath. And 1 Corinthians chapter 15 talks about how the first Adam was made a living soul, but the new Adam is made a life-giving spirit. And a spirit is a gust of air. So we actually, the only way we can have goodness is Christ's goodness entering into us. So that's why he blew the spirit on the apostles after his resurrection. Yeah, so there is no such thing as a good soul except for Christ himself.
All right. And Chris Keith, welcome to the live stream. And thank you so much for that question.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, bud. Hey, Orge. It's not orgy because I mean,
Yeah.
Say what you want, man. Say what you want.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, is it pronounced orge?
So I made this name up when I was in like 5th grade for a Rainbow Six Game Spy room, and I misspelled ogre.
Okay.
So I don't know how this is pronounced. Pronounce it as you will.
So would you just prefer to be called ogre?
I will respond to it, yes.
Okay, great.
Okay.
I prefer to refer to people as they prefer to be referred to as.
That's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I got caught up in the chat a little bit. So I mean, I was paying attention to the debate, but it was going so kind of just like I thought it would go. TJump.
Yep.
He actually did contradict himself though, because in the debate previously he said he has no worldview, and tonight he said in his worldview. So that was a contradiction he caught himself in. So, but that's the usual TJump says whatever he needs to say in the moment, whether it makes sense or. As long as it helps his argument, he'll say it, whether, contradictory or not.
I thought tonight's debate, Cliffe and Stuart, where I think they were well-mannered. TJump is kind of quiet. Aron Ra was Aron Ra, but I'm not going to say anything negative. That's why I like him, because he's fierce, because that's just his style. That's why I like him. To me, and this is my opinion, I don't think that either side won, because I didn't look so much as a debate as it was a discussion. And I don't necessarily think every debate is going to have a clear winner. I think a lot of them do go down the route of being more a discussion, sometimes heated, like it was tonight. But and especially with discussions over debates, I don't necessarily think there's always going to be a winner. I think it's just both sides kind of make their case to the best of their abilities, respond to the objections to the best of their abilities, and that's that.
Right, exactly. And
Fair enough. Yeah.
I agree that I don't really like assigning winners or losers to a debate unless I'm forced to judge one way or the other.
Exactly.
That being said, I would agree with you. The Christian side, their entire opening statement was not any. They weren't giving an argument; they were giving a sermon.
I agree with that. And this comes from an atheist. I did like it. I thought it was well put together, but I didn't think that it was a cogent argument that positively that was epistemologically positive in favor of their position.
Absolutely, I 100% agree.
Well, I have a question about that, David, because you might find it weak, the references to saying its history and stuff, but the fact that he went in talking about it as having historical merit just does not seem like a preaching approach to me. So I'm a little bit confused by the choice of word.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
go ahead, Leo. You go first.
I was going to say that I would say that it sounded preachy, but it wasn't literally preaching. I don't know if you understand the kind of the distinction I'm trying to make, Nicholas. If not, I can try to make it a little better. But I don't think that it was literally preaching. I just think it kind of had this. It seemed a little bit. Oh, what's the word? Oh God. Proselytizing, but not exactly. It had that feel, but I don't think that's what it was. If you get what I'm trying to say.
That's just how they talk. So
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it, Keith or Chris.
Yeah.
That's how they are.
Yeah, Aron was, of course, Aron Ra. He was very forceful in getting his points across and calling them out on the bullshit. He made a couple comments throughout the debate that I thought was just fucking phenomenal. He said, first thing that really caught my attention was, "Don't go to a Baptist because they don't know shit." And I grew up as an independent fundamentalist Baptist, and I can confirm that what Aron Ra said is 100% accurate. That
I
Baptist-
grew up as a devout Catholic, and I can also confirm that I've been told I'm not a Christian numerous times, despite the fact that Catholicism was literally the very first and the most original form of organized Christianity, from which every other form of Christianity evolves to some degree. All the other people who claim they're not Christians are some form of Protestant. Protestantism didn't come until the 14th century when Martin Luther decided to split from the Catholic Church. But even before that, you had the schism of 1054, in which the Eastern Orthodox Church split from the Catholic Church because they didn't think the Catholics were religious, but they were always fighting, despite the fact that the Roman Catholic has been and still continues to be the largest form of Christianity on the planet.
Exactly, and this is kind of what turns me off from Christianity, is when there's so many churches claiming to be the only true church, and this side says they're not going to, they're the only true Christians, and they're not Christians, and all that. Like, I don't think any of them are Christians, to be perfectly honest. And I will say this, that you were talking about the Catholic Church, you were correct. But even before then, in the first century, there were even more offshoots of the proto-Orthodox Church. There were, of course,
different little organizations, and collectively, they've often referred to as the Church of the Early Fathers. That was quite prominent. They did have different teachings. Many of them taught that had what I believe is called Arianism. Or Arianism, because there's Arian and then there's Arian. One pronunciation goes to what Hitler believed in. The other one was based off of Aria of Alexandria or something like that. I think
what you're talking about as Arian.
Yes.
So,
okay.
Yeah, so...
and he believed that Jesus was Jesus and that he was sent by God, but that he wasn't literally God in the flesh. And then there were the others that did believe that Jesus was literally God in the flesh. And that was hashed out at the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. And they eventually came to conclude that it should be the canon of the church that Jesus was God in the flesh. But even when I was a Catholic, I did not say that Baptists weren't Christians or that Mormons weren't Christians. I don't get it. You literally all believe that Jesus is the one Son of God, and it is through his atonement that you are to be saved. That is essentially the basis of Christianity. Obviously, there's some nuance there. There is some nuance, don't get me wrong. But if we're kind of being a little bit general, the atonement of Jesus Christ, the belief in Jesus Christ as the Son of God, the belief that you are to be saved through his atonement is the basis of Christianity. All the versions of Christianity believe that. I don't know how one can reasonably argue that any one denomination isn't Christian. I think it's really just a no true Scotsman.
Well, I'd like to bring a Christian perspective into this part of the discussion.
Yeah,
if I
please
may.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Go ahead.
Because what I would say there is that the scriptures define Christianity according to Christ, not according to like
The
earthly
Council of Nicaea.
politics.
Mhm.
And so the Mormons, first, the word pistis is better translated as trust. So when they say they would trust an idea, that's their way of saying they believe an idea.
Mhm.
But we're saved by trust in Christ. And so Mormonism is a pretty good example because they reject so much of what Christ said and what the scriptures say that one cannot make a good argument that Mormons trust Christ. And so maybe what I'm saying here gives some insight into how we try to assess what is Christian or not and who is Christian or not.
I'm gonna have to mull that over for a second, just
Oh,
because I like
sorry,
to think about
apologizing.
things before I respond.
Let me close my mute. Sorry.
Yeah, so Leo, you go, and then I'll turn it over to Chris.
I don't know enough about Mormonism. I'm sure Nicholas probably would know more than me. I just don't know that much about Mormonism to know it. And I'm not saying that Nicholas is wrong, but I don't know enough to know specifically the specifics of how they view Christ. I do know that they believe that it is through the atonement of Christ that one is saved. It seems to me that, and again, there's nuance. I want to stress that as much as I can because I don't want to generalize. I don't want to overgeneralize this, but speaking in a more general sense, Christianity is taken to be the belief in Jesus Christ as the Son of God, and that through his atonement here on earth, through his sacrifice, people are saved, that they trust in him if they believe in him. I can't say that Mormons do or don't trust in them. I don't know enough about Mormonism to make that claim. The best way to put it is I don't have enough knowledge to have an opinion to cogently respond to what Nicholas said.
Oh yeah, well, Mormonism was just the example that was in it, but the difference between belief and trust is major because saying like believing that happened is not the same thing as acting on it. It's like if I believe that a motorcycle helmet will save my life if I get in a motorcycle accident, but then when I ride my motorcycle, I don't wear the helmet, even though I know the facts. I am not trusting the helmet. So trust is actually what matters.
I get that. I get that 100%. I think that was a pretty good analogy, actually.
Yeah, Chris, you had something you wanted to say, and also we now have Joachim, who is joining us. Welcome so much. Thank you for joining me.
Hey,
Well,
yeah, it's good to be here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you
Yeah,
just
let him go ahead because I was just telling you my mic was hot, but I'll
I have
speak in just a minute.
I have a feeling his name is probably pronounced Joaquim, but I may be wrong. Okay.
There we go, Joaquim.
Awesome.
I do apologize. Again, I'm terrible with pronunciation.
It's all good. What's in a name? A beautiful face by any other name would be
Debatable.
I was just gonna say, like, I just wanted to comment about what y'all were talking about. I just wanted to say that I think that those different Christian groups are just coming at it with different traditions, and I don't think any of them have a monopoly on Christianity. I mean, it sounds like Nicholas, is coming at it with like a just sola scriptura, like just the Bible kind of view. But that's not that's not written in the hearts of every human. It's not in the clouds. It's just something you think, and not everybody thinks that.
I also wanted to add that even though what the faith that I was raised in was Catholicism, even most Catholics probably wouldn't have even considered me Catholic, let alone Christian, because I did not take the Bible literally. I did believe that Jesus was literally God incarnate, but I believed that most of what was written in the Bible were parables. They were stories meant to portray or convey some sort of message, that they weren't meant to be taken literally, that a lot of the laws that were written in the Bible were laws that were more reflective of a society 2,000 plus years ago that should not be applied to a modern society. So I was also, say, like a theistic evolutionist. I was sort of what I would have called a natural Christian. I believe that the natural world was the natural world, and that the spiritual realm is a spiritual realm, and that they might interact with each other, that causation between them probably doesn't exist. And this is the reason why I said that, because I'm sure Nicholas is probably already raising an eyebrow as is Chris, is that if we're going to argue that the spiritual realm can affect the natural realm and cause things happen in the natural realm, then one must also believe, I would think, that the natural realm can cause things to happen in the spiritual realm. And perhaps there are some Christians or any person of faith who believes in two distinct realms, a natural realm and a spiritual realm, that do think that's the case, that not only does the spiritual affect the natural, but the natural affects the spiritual. And I said, how can I ever confirm that I am affecting anything in the spiritual realm? And how can I ever confirm that the spiritual realm is affecting anything in the natural realm? So I believed that essentially the way the universe worked is exactly the way God wanted it to work, and that all the things that occur in the natural world, like evolutionary theory, however it may be that life came about, whether that is supernatural or natural, because I think it's natural because we've only ever used natural to explain it, but God forbid it could be the first thing that we find out that has some verifiably supernatural explanation. You just never know. But I believe that the natural world worked the way it did because that's the way God wanted it to work, and that he created it to work the way to produce the results that he wanted. And that's why it was never hard for me to accept things like evolutionary theory that you will find a lot of religious people, Christian or otherwise, deny, is because I believed when I was Catholic that that's the way God sort of wrote the universe. And here's my lovely Catholic grandmother who still believes it all. Yes. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I believe that God was saying, look, I want to be able to create this universe and let it do what it does. I can stand back. I can interact if I need to and when I need to, but it's going to do what I programmed it, I guess, for lack of a better word, to do. And then I'm just going back to this as sort of an example. I think that evolutionary theory is a good example of that. That is something God wanted to happen in the world, and that's why it does.
And you said a lot of interesting stuff there. Now we're at like 3 deep topics that I can't even begin to address. But I can answer Ryan Adams' question from side chat real quick. He asked, how is resurrection possible? If it was possible in any kind of traditional possible sense, then it wouldn't be a miracle. So the whole point of miracles is to do something impossible. So, I don't mean that as a cop-out answer. It's just they would not have relevance. If there was an answer to that question, it would not be relevant as a miracle.
Just for clarification, can I ask quick, when you say impossible, are you speaking more colloquially than literally?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. That's what I figured, but I just wanted to be sure.
If you don't mind, Nick, I'm going to back you up on that and say I, as an atheist, view the resurrection as purely a magical event. And to view it in some sort of literal sense takes away from the kind of the point of it, with the God intervening, right? The God being a part of it. So, on my side of the fence, that seems like a reasonable assertion to me.
Yeah, and I think it would actually be a really fun idea. Leah, would you be interested in doing a one-on-one debate or discussion with Nicholas?
What would be the topic?
Whatever you guys want to.
I'm not opposed to it. It just comes down to the topic, because despite the fact that many people have said I'm running from a debate, I think Nicholas is charitable enough not to make such a claim, because he's generally a charitable and respectful individual. It comes down to the topic, because I just don't really debate topics I'm not interested in. So I'm 100% open to it. It just depends on the topic that he would propose, that I would propose, and if where he says a topic and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm okay with that, or if I say a topic and he's like, okay, yeah, I'm down with that, or if we have to make a compromise. So I'm 100% open to it. It just depends on the topic.
Well, if I may respond real quick to Joaquin. Yeah, I don't think I would like to debate you, but what you were just talking about was really interesting. So to actually have a couple hours to dig deep into that and give complete responses to it, that I would really enjoy. So I do cordial discussions on my channel with atheists. And,
what is your channel, by the way? You're hard to find.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah, is your
Yeah,
tag
well,
on StreamYard your channel?
Well, if you search my name, Nicholas Whitmire, Proclaimer of Messiah, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who comes up.
Well, the Whitmire was the thing.
Okay.
Nicholas
If you put in the whole thing, I think I should come up first.
Whitmire Proclaim. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I think it came up first when I searched it.
Yeah.
Are you the only Christian in the room right now, Nicholas?
No.
Are there others?
Chris
Keith is
Keith is a
still.
good brother of mine.
No, I'm also in here. I'm sorry. I'm just listening.
I found Governor Whitmer. I failed already. How do you spell that?
Yeah, I actually just for you guys, I put a link to Nicholas's YouTube
Yeah,
channel
I
in
can
the private
link it
chat.
too.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, Leo, can I ask you something? That will kind of more of a laid back chat here, and then we're in. I was talking in the chat. Always Mark with Mark Reed, and usually one or two others.
I saw a
Okay.
few comments go by, but I
Because you said a little while ago that like God, maybe one day we find out, maybe it's possible that there is something supernatural that kickstarted life, abiogenesis. Would you not say DNA is a code?
no, I wouldn't.
And what would be your main objection to it?
I would say that analogically it's a code, but not ontologically. So we call it a code because we have invented a code table that represents the structure and the function of DNA, but in the same sense that we can't take what's depicted in a Feynman diagram and apply that to what the particles are actually doing that the Feynman diagrams are describing. In the same sense, we cannot take the code table that we use to represent DNA as being an ontological description of what DNA
And
is.
can I respond also?
Yeah.
Talk.origins actually has a really good response to that. They say that the genetic code is not a true code, it is more of a cipher. DNA is a sequence of 4 different bases, A, C, G, and T, along a backbone. When DNA gets translated to protein, triplets of bases or codons get converted.
Okay, you just said codon though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That refers again to the analogical nature of calling it a code, but that is an ontological
So you're
description.
just saying it's analogous to a code. Okay. What if somebody that was very experienced in coding said it was not analogous to a code, it is a code? What would you say to that?
It would depend on the person because I have talked to many. I've talked to one of
Do you
the
mind
world's
if I share a video in just a second?
scientists
A small
who
one?
said that it's not.
Don't share a video, please.
A clip. I mean a clip.
No,
A clip.
no.
May I just ask who it's from because I might have already seen it.
Perry
I
Marshall.
don't know, but what was that?
Perry Marshall.
Perry Marshall. Okay, I don't know if I've seen that one, but I do know who you're talking about.
I don't know. I'm not like I'm wrong about stuff all the time. And biology, God, last time I took a biology class was a long, long time ago. But I remember that they would describe things, processes, using terms and ideas that we could understand. And I understood that like the cell didn't really want to do something. Like, when they were describing what this, the cell wants to go down, this vein or whatever. It doesn't really want to. It's just the way people talk. Or they'll say stuff like the cell's a factory, right? But the cell isn't really a factory. There aren't little guys there like working.
No, but there are like machines.
DNA is not really a code in the same way that you might make you might program something on your computer or
Exactly.
it's just the way people talk.
You make a very, very good point, Joaquin, because we as humans are limited by our linguistic structures. We're limited by our languages, and we tend to describe things in the easiest way that conveys a message in the most intuitive, simplistic manner. And oftentimes we apply analogies, even in places where most people or a lot of people might not recognize it as being analogous, but it's still an analogy. We often call stars factories that forge elements in the crucibles that are their cores, but a star is not literally a factory. It's not forging anything. It's inherent chemical processes that result from the fundamental structure of what a star is, and I would state that it is the same thing with DNA.
All right. We just have a very interesting comment in the side chat from Tom Share. Thank you so much. If all science books and knowledge was erased, we'd still discover it all over again eventually. Could the same be said for religious books? And I also want to welcome Sandy Pigeon into the live stream. Welcome, Sandy.
I just want to say one more thing before we get off the DNA digital, though. You can go before we get off of it. Not now, but before you leave it, the topic.
Sure, go right ahead.
I'm just going to say, have you ever heard of DNA digital storage, data storage?
No, I have not.
You know, if did you know that we have you can code information on DNA? They've had pictures.
Yep.
Okay. It functions. It's not analogous. It functions directly. I mean, it literally functions as a code, not analogous.
You could do that with anything, man. You could do that with pennies,
coding, but it's
pennies and
not
quarters.
code.
You could do it with anything.
You can do it. What? Say that again. What now?
You could store data. You could
Store data on what?
You can store data on a lot of things.
On a computer.
It's just how you choose to think about things. I mean, these are just natural processes versus.
So you would disagree? It's an inert 4-bit code.
It's not a code. You can talk about it like
okay. Okay. What's a better word? What's a better word?
What's a better word?
It's a chemical.
Yeah,
you mean a molecule?
DNA.
DNA. Yeah, it's a molecule, but I mean,
Yes.
it's just because it's like not like hard, like a computer, like metal and plastic. Does not mean it's can't be a code. You know what I mean? Even if
coding things, but it isn't a code, and that was told to be by Landon Kurt Knoll, who is one of the world's foremost mathematicians and computer scientists, a guy who had 2 world records for the largest Mersenne prime discovered before he graduated high school. Those were his words.
May I chime in?
Take that for what it's worth.
Dr. Dennis Noble describes it as a code, and he made pioneering mathematical
Chris, I'd like to
mathematical
chime
model
in.
for the working heart, and it is well credited. Have you heard of the 10? Go ahead, Nicholas.
Yeah, because Tom's chair asked this question. Better word is we read it like a code. Well, the problem with that is that it's actually the cell that reads it. The cell reads all the code, and we're only just beginning to do that. So trying to say that humans read it is completely irrelevant. That's not what Chris and I are talking about.
Would be
you
an
could believe in evolution or not believe in evolution, and it just.
Well, that was my point. But that's what we're talking about, Joaquin. It was to Leo Phyllis.
This is like really for like young Earth creationists.
No, I'm not going there. This was specifically for Leo because what he said was, that he has no problem if we did find a supernatural.
He answered you already. Like, why are we still talking about it? Like,
Might I ask?
Because I'm talking about it.
I admit I do agree with Joaquin, especially David Neff changed the subject by bringing up a comment, and he's the host, so he probably should have just gone with what the host was doing.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, not a problem, and I do apologize if I cut the conversation short.
Go ahead.
I do apologize.
It's a good conversation, Chris, but again, we don't want to be stuck for 3 hours on it.
Oh, I understand. I thought
it is one of those
kind of debate.
And I don't think anyone in here is in any way, shape, or form a geneticist. So we're all going to talk very service level on it, anyways.
Right. I just really wanted to get that one. Ask Leo. I didn't mean for it to go on a long time. So
Chris, bring up rocks, and I can go all night.
Knowledge was erased, we'd still discover it all over again eventually. Could the same be said for religious books? No, and that's what I think. I think no, because religion is not something that people discover. It's something that people make up.
Exactly.
I'm going to disagree with you, Joaquin. I'm going to disagree with you on that. And what I'm going to say is, to my opinion, religion is a control device, is a form of government, and for example, the Judeo-Christian religion was very much segmented, very much organized around the time period at which it was invented. So the time period, that's why the rules around indentured servitude, around war captives, what have you, all embedded in the Bible, homosexuality, what have you. So religion would be rewritten again in the form of whatever particular society it was written in. Mormonism has certain views corresponding to the 1800s.
I think like he's talking about. He said, could the same be said for religious books? In other words, like, would it still be Mary? Like, there's something like in the name
Would
Mary.
Jesus
that-
still have
I
risen
feel
from the
like-
dead? Would whatever any particular religion says, would that same religion have developed? The thing is that if we lost literally all knowledge that humans have developed, it might take us another 5,000 years, but we will discover that nuclear fusion is what drives stars. We would discover that gravity is a fundamental force of nature. We would discover that electricity and magnetism are actually a connected force. All of those things we would learn again because they are objective features of the reality that we reside in. The same simply cannot be said of religion, any
Well,
religion.
I have another perspective to bring on that, because in the opening of John it says, "In prime was the Logos." So that's in that context, prime means the beginning, or maybe like the primordial. Was the Logos. The Logos is the same concept that they have in Taoism that they call the Tao. And in Chinese Bibles, from what I hear, they actually translate that in the beginning was the Tao. Of course, they don't use any English, but so there's the, and we also see with which one was his name? Plato wrote about his mentor, not Aristotle, the other one. I'm drawing a blank. Socrates. And the allegory of the cave is very prophetic of Christ himself, in my view. And so we do see to some extent that there are truths regarding the Logos that people would come to either way. As far as the level of revelation that has come, that went through Judaism and then was fully revealed in Christ himself, that would not just happen by humans exploring, no.
I think that there are lots of differences between the Logos in Christianity versus the Logos in Greek philosophy. I mean, for one thing, in Greek philosophy, it's not Jesus, right? Whereas, like, John is saying that Jesus pre-existed, like that's the point. Like an ancient Greek philosopher from before Jesus's time wouldn't have, believed that. And it's different. Like there are differences between that and you mentioned the Hindu religion. You were talking about.
I was talking about Taoism. That's the Hindu religion.
I'm not that. I'm sorry. I'm not that familiar. But I would assume. I imagine.
The Tao is a short book. You should read it. It's a really good book. For something that came out 600 years before Christ, it's very insightful.
What? What book?
The Tao, or the Tao Te Ching.
Oh yeah, maybe someday I'll get around to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know what it's
short.
Tao Te
You
Ching.
can just read it like tomorrow or something. It's really short.
I got a lot of stuff to do tomorrow and the day after. and the day after.
I know it's very short. It wouldn't take more. I mean, it depends on your level of reading proficiency, but it wouldn't take more than an hour or two to read, I would imagine.
Yeah, you can read The Abolition of Man as well, because C.S. Lewis uses the same type of language, the Tao, and which describes general revelation in the Bible that all humans have consciousness, a sense of justice, and the ability to study yourselves. So in some sense, you may be able to recreate religion, but as Leo was saying, that it would be probably a little different.
And I do want to clarify that I do think religions would still come about, and I do think that there would still be some similarities, but it wouldn't. Like I said, with all the stuff that we would still know general relativity. It might not be called general relativity the second time around, or the same with special relativity or electromagnetism, but the fundamentals of what those things teach, quantum mechanics, all of it, we would still figure those things out. I do think religion would come around again. I do think there would be similarities, but I do not think that any one religion would look identical to any one of the religions that exists today.
We would
Jesus would not
on that.
for sure.
Because you mentioned quantum physics, and Ryan Adams keeps asking about the resurrection being possible. I'm not a quantum physicist, but I do think that there's seems to be an informational nature to the universe, and so through quantum access. That might be God's way of physically making the impossible happen, or it might be extremely unlikely kind of a thing. I don't know about
Nicholas,
quantum.
Information is fundamentally physical, so everything that we can describe is information, and we know that information is physical because we can link it to thermodynamics. It requires, albeit an infinitesimally small amount, it requires energy to transfer information. If you destroy or delete or produce information, that also requires energy, which would not be true if it were an immaterial thing, and I can cite published papers on that from the Royal Society and from Science Direct. Information is a physical thing. It describes physical things, and it is inherent within physical things.
And I like the last topic we were talking about. We had a lot of agreement about the question that was asked about if religion would come up the same again. But I want to know Sandy Pigeon's worldview. I think maybe I've been in a chat with you only once.
Well, it also goes back, and it begs the question about, you guys were talking about, I think Chris was talking about information, and you know, there are 3.1 billion strands of DNA in a human cell, and even in the most simple cell that's in the gut, it's
base pairs,
close to 2 billion strands of DNA. So it begs the question, from where does that information come?
The information is the structure of the DNA.
Hold on, Leo. Hold on.
No, it doesn't come. It doesn't come from the
Why
bond.
don't you take like a class? Like, I don't understand it, you know, I don't understand what the point of coming into like a conversation like this is and asking like basic biology questions.
Because
look, you're not going to accept any.
Where did it come? And you have to ask the question, where did the information come from?
What other evidence would you accept?
You can ask the professor if you can sit in on a lecture, you can sit in on his class, and you can learn those things.
I just recommend that because it's brilliant. I've done it. But I do have a question for Sandy. Where does the information in this pen come from? Or does it just come from the structure of the pen, its color, its shape, its weight, all of which are pieces of information?
Who designed it?
That's irrelevant. Where does
it isn't irrelevant. Where information come?
Okay. Let me try something different. Where does the information in a star come from?
The information in a star?
Yes.
Jesus, duh.
Yeah.
And the cell. Duh.
You're being really disruptive, to be honest.
Yeah, and you're not even like seriously wanting to have an
Yeah, I just think this is a stupid conversation. That
then you probably should leave the room, man.
It's basic science stuff. You should go to fucking school, read a book. Like, I don't understand, you know,
and get as smart as you.
Honestly.
Like, I agree with you.
I have a much more interesting question that's actually pertinent, like, to the debate. Like,
well, I just want real quick. Are we all assuming Sandy Pigeon's a Christian at this point because he didn't answer about his worldview?
Yeah, I am.
But I can't prescribe him to any particular religion. But it seems that he's firm.
Well, I kind of go with Leo with Leo's opening statement there. I was quite impressed with Leo's
real quick,
dissemination of what I believe, because I'm just a Bible believing Christian. And Leo, you did a very good job in describing that whole thing. That was well done.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Real quick.
The actual split in Catholicism, actually, from tradition to Bible believing, sola scriptura, sola fide, happened at the Council of Trent, and that's how the Catholic Church kind of maintained its traditions of. So that was very good, Leo. But I think going back to what Joaquin, you've got to have a basis for your worldview, and that's my point. Is how can you have a worldview without knowing?
You have a basis for your worldview. You can just be. You can just exist and live, and it doesn't fucking matter all that much, really. Like, I don't think anyway. But I have a different question.
Well, that's true.
I have a question. Nobody asked me what I thought about the debate, and I wanted to say something, and I have a question about the debate. Like, towards the end of the debate, Aron, the very end. Aron, yeah, I'm sorry. I think a lot of people screw up that name. Like,
just like mine.
I still say Aron instead of RN, and I know that it's RN. It's just like
I don't think he is
RN except for RN. So it's like you'd think I'd remember it. But.
And that's what I said. It's like saying it like a nurse. RN.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah, but remember at the end where he's grilling him on like belief in Jesus, and how like belief is the determining factor in whether you go to hell
And
or
I
not.
still think that it is.
He
Yes.
wouldn't answer the question of whether you go to hell or not. Like most Christians would, like if they were just answering honestly, they'd probably just say like, yeah, you don't believe in Jesus, you go to hell. Like if you don't believe you go to hell, it doesn't matter what you did in your life. Everybody's a sinner unless you accept Jesus, you're going to hell. Like, but what I was thinking about was like, isn't it strange that the thing that's rewarded in Christianity is whether you believe or not? Like, why is belief the determining factor? Like, doesn't that sort of mean that gullibility ends up being rewarded? Because as long as you believe, right, then you're saved. And it's not like, it's not intelligence. It's not like your work ethic. It's not even something.
It's not your morality, none of that.
Right. It's not your morality or how strong you are or smart or anything, but it's just like whether you believe. Like, and isn't that just like whoever's gullible,
It's weird.
you get to heaven. Like the more gullible you are, like the better off your faith is, the stronger your faith is, the more like reward you get.
Gullible to what?
Gullible to believing a story.
Can I jump in on that real quick as an atheist? I think your question. This is just my opinion. Nicholas may disagree with me. Chris may disagree with me. But your question seems sort of, why doesn't your faith match with my opinion of your faith? That seems kind of disingenuous.
No,
Is it an opinion, though?
My
Because
question
I've often been told that, well, you don't just have to believe, you also have to be good. And so I always say, well, what if you're good and you don't believe? Do you still get into heaven? And they said, well, no. And I'm like,
but
okay, so
the
then it comes down to
religion,
belief.
the Christian religion doesn't have the Christian religion by definition has strict rules. The nuance of that rule is the reason why we have denominations.
My friend,
of course.
this is actually simple.
Joaquin seems to be arguing. Sorry.
No, you're
Nicholas, were you saying
okay. I
something?
just kind of want to cut to it because it's so simple. The scripture says that we are saved by grace through trust unto good works,
Ephesians
which were
2:8 and
before
9,
ordained that we may walk in them. So we're saved by God's grace causing us to trust, and then that causes good works. And it's really as simple as that.
Right. Anyway, guys, real quick, thank you guys so much for the discussion. I'm starting to doze off, so we'll probably be going for about 10 more minutes, and then I'm going to have to call it quits for tonight. However, I am planning on having an open mic after, just in general open mic topic. Anything goes tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So come on back to my channel at 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow and continue the discussion.
David, I have a piece of advice on that. If you could schedule it real quick, and then you could put the link in the side chat, and people can click on it and set a reminder for it.
Yeah,
and
that's
everyone, go ahead and subscribe to David's channel and set that bell to all, and then that'll also help you be at the open mic tomorrow.
If you were God and you were trying to determine what thing should make people come to heaven, like what was the linchpin thing, would you say like, yeah, the people who believe this story, those are the people I'm going to save? Or would you make it some other factor, like the people who are really good people? Those are the ones I'm going to save, or the ones who look most like me even, or like the ones who can lift the most weight or something. Like, would you do the same thing that God did and say like, whoever believes this story, like the ones who are likely to believe?
Well, I use the word trust. So if you're asking me, the idea of believing the story is not relevant to what I'm saying. The whole thing is trusting the person Jesus.
So you're saying that that in the Bible, the word, the Koine Greek word for believe doesn't mean believe? Like you're saying that the translators are wrong?
It means confidence, and so when they talk about having confidence in a fact, that's their way of saying belief. But it means confidence or trust. So when you trust in a person, that's I would say trust is a better translation. So the answer is yes.
Do you have some sort of like, do you have some doctorates in in like language studies?
It's widely available information. Bible study information is very widely available. It's the most popular book in history.
I'm just.
I can screen share
I'm
something
the kind
if
of
you
guy,
want. Real
like,
quick.
if I see that a lot of translations have the same word, like I imagine that there's probably like a team of translators who are specialists in the language, and that they're probably translating that word to what they're translating it into, probably for a very good reason.
Yeah, I mean, I know one example where every single translation is blatantly incorrect that I've seen. And it's easy to prove, but there's not really time for that. If David says we have 10 minutes, I would be glad to have a full discussion, Joaquin, and it could be you just picking my brain about anything you
don't
my
talk to
channel.
me about it,
I
man.
can pull up like screen shares and stuff.
You write to these organizations that do Bible translations, and maybe they'll put you.
Well, I'm working on a translation to help people study for themselves. So yeah, I am. I don't just talk the talk; I walk the walk. Yeah.
Well, really, what's your doctorate in?
Well, there's already enough people who've gone through that system for their way of learning, so I'm taking a different approach.
Oh, you're taking a different approach than like an academic approach?
Well, I'm learning from academia, but I'm not being institutionalized, and I can also get straight to the point. I don't have to go through all their programs and scheduling and stuff.
Yeah,
so
I can
things are
agree
well
with
done. They have
Nicholas to a
merit. You know,
point.
there's a lot of there's also like a lot of scientists who, you know, science can be proven based on the validity of the claims, and same thing with scholarship and stuff. If you make valid claims and then they show to be valid as it goes on, then
okay,
they'll still have merit. Yeah.
I wanted to jump in here because I can agree with what Nicholas is saying up to a point. I'm not a scholar, but I would bet that you would be hard pressed to find someone who's not a scholar who could go head to head with me on a topic like quantum mechanics or even classical mechanics or cosmology or something like that. However, that being said, there are numerous things I still don't know because I haven't gone to an academic institution, because there are nuances, there are technicalities you learn there, especially within the realm of research, applying knowledge in a laboratory or some laboratory setting to come to conclusions. So, and that's not to discredit people who haven't gone to academia. It's simply to state that while people can know a hell of a lot about a subject without being an academic, there is still value in being an academic.
Yeah, I can agree with all of that. And like I said, Joaquin, there's just not time to dig into all the details you'd appreciate. So I'll leave my email for you. And then if you're not interested in digging in, you don't have to. But if you are, then the offer is out there. David, do you want us to get back on the topic of the debate to close your show with?
Many different scholars in the form of these myriad translations that all translate the same way, and then I can read the context for myself to figure out what is being said with around that word, and to try and determine what I think.
Well, when I say it's too deep a topic, I actually mean that. You keep trying to hope it's not too deep a topic, but it actually is. But David, do you want us to talk about the debate again?
Okay, sure. I think I probably know more about it than you think that I do, and I know why you're saying that it's trust, but the idea there, like when you have like doubting Thomas, like in the debate, right? When he's talking about Aron Ra was talking about doubting Thomas and putting his finger through the hole in Jesus, right, in the wound, like it is about believing the story, right? And yes, that idea of believing the story is connected to all this stuff. Like believing the story is leads to sort of a trusting in Jesus for your salvation, and it leads to working like out your salvation in fear and trembling. It's connected to all these other ideas like teshuvah, right? Like this repentance and turning towards God. But the word pistis in that context, it means believe. You get it?
Yeah.
Well, when I said that there's not time to dig into it, I meant it every single time I said it.
Yeah.
May I ask Nicholas
into
one
it.
question that's slightly off topic?
I'm okay with that, but I want David to get to decide how the show's ending.
Yeah,
for my
this
part.
is a really, really quick question.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
So me and Speed of Sound of Gravity wanted a team debate with Praise and somebody else on Is the Conscious Mind Immaterial? He said Speed particularly requested LPP. Praise said he was going to get a hold of him. I don't know if he has or not, and I was wondering if you would be interested in taking that up with Praise or not.
Oh, absolutely. I would be glad to be on board with it.
I'm glad-
Wait, you're asking me if I'll team up with Praise? I made a mistake because as I typed my email,
Yeah.
I forgot how much I suck at multitasking, and I missed what the debate topic is. I got everything but the topic. If you just name the topic.
Is the conscious mind immaterial?
Yeah, I'm willing to do my best at that.
And
yeah,
the
one-
debate would be on MDD because James has expressed interest in hosting that.
Okay, so I would want at least a week to prepare.
And that's
to
fine.
do well
because
enough
Speed
for
said he
MDD.
wants at least 2, so prep time is no problem.
Yeah. So I agree to it. If Praise has already chosen LPP, then I would like him to try to get LPP as his partner first. But I'm very down to partner up with Praise on that. Yeah.
I messaged Praise and asked him if he got a hold of LPP, but he hasn't gotten back to me yet. So if I don't hear anything by like Sunday or Monday, I might message him again, email him again, and see what he is. Because I asked him if he got a hold of anybody or if he would rather it just be a one-on-one, because it was originally going to be a one-on-one versus me and him. But Speed said, hey, you should see if they'd be willing to if he would be willing to do a team debate, because I'd be interested in getting in on that. So I just figured if I can find somebody that might team up with Praise, why not go for it?
Yeah. Anyway, guys, I really appreciate you joining me tonight. I hope you enjoyed this conversation, and I had a really good time with you guys. And this is why I love open mic topics, because we can go and explore so many different rabbit holes. And unfortunately, I am exhausted. I wish this debate ended a little bit earlier, which is why I am doing an open mic tomorrow. Again, 6 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. There will be an open mic, general topic. Anything will go. So I hope every one of you guys joins me again. Everyone, I'm going to give everyone a chance to say a couple final words. And I'm going to kind of go to the right and kind of go clockwise. Nicholas, any closing thoughts?
Yeah. Just trust Messiah.
Okay. Ward, you're next. Okay.
You look like a monk. So that's all I got.
All right. Pedo Bunk. Any final words?
Who? Who do you
Oh,
say?
and thanks, David, for covering this.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess tomorrow it's rather later tonight, Saturday the 17th, because I know it's kind of changing days for everyone. I'm just really exhausted. So 6 p.m. October 17th, later tonight or tomorrow, wherever you're at. My brain is completely fried. I've been up for over 16 hours now. So,
Jesus.
yeah, busy day.
David, I really appreciate you doing this. I always enjoy having a conversation with you, as well as you, Leo. You know, very fair-minded, and you know, sometimes we get heated, me and Leo, but not so much with
But
David.
what I love is that despite the fact that we get heated, you don't throw insults. You make your point. You're firm in your point. You've come into streams where you're like the only Christian, if not one of 2 Christians, against 6 to 8 atheists, and you hold your ground and you make your points, and I admire that.
Well, and I appreciate it. I wish Ogre or Orga didn't get out of here. I put my channel link in the side. I wanted him to get it because sometimes I do streams. I would like him to jump in every once in a while. I know he kind of bounces around, so I like to talk to him as well. So, but my link's in the private chat if you want to grab it, Leo. Every once in a while, I'll do a late stream. You might want to join sometime. You never know. And I'll subscribe to you as well if you get time. If you want to, if not, no big deal.
Yep.
Thank you.
And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell button.
Oh, I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm already. You were the only atheist I've subscribed to, but I am now subscribed to Knock, so I can keep up when he does reviews.
Yeah, definitely. And I do have some more music coming out soon.
Oh, sounds good.
I always enjoy you, David. So thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Brother.
I enjoy you also. Thank you.
I'm
Take it easy, Chris. By the way, you sound a lot like Peyton Manning. I just gotta say.
Oh, Peyton Manning, man! I'm from Tennessee, man. That's my boy, man. You know, I got to represent Peyton Manning. He next to Tom Brady, he's probably the best to ever do it.
Yeah, he is. He's fucking good. There's just no doubt about that. He's a legend.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Take it easy, Chris.
All right. Any final words from any of you guys? Anyone want to say anything?
Yeah.
Are you guys? Hey,
thank you so much.
Yeah. Hey, just are you doing this at 6 again tomorrow night?
Yeah, 6 p.m.
Yes.
Yeah, 6 p.m. Eastern.
And is your so if I go to David P. Neff and then pull that up and you'll be on at 6 and then we can get into the stream.
Yes, exactly. And I just wanted to emphasize, in case there's any confusion with anyone, that is Saturday, the 17th, which is, I guess, today, my time.
Tomorrow, my time for another 20 minutes because I'm central.
Yeah, definitely. So I just wanted to kind of emphasize that. I hope to see you guys at 6 p.m. We'll have a good time.
Leo, no trains tonight, huh?
Nope. Union Pacific kept 4014 in the shed this year because of the I'm not going to say it because apparently it can demonetize your channel, but I think we all know the reason why they didn't run their Steam program this year, but I'm hoping for next year.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by trains as well. They're pretty cool.
And I'm saying, being a rail fan, I'm sure you've probably heard of the Big Boy. I wouldn't be surprised if you went out and saw it at some point last year.
All right. Anyway,
and hey Credo, are you going to be here tomorrow night?
I'm assuming he will.
I guess Credo won't be. Credo and I are having a little side discussion here on mutation, and mutation doesn't happen, but we'll get into that tomorrow.
I'm hoping we can go into that just a little bit deeper tomorrow. I think that'll be a good discussion.
Okay. See you guys. Good night. God bless.
Good night. Bye-bye.